The black ships moved through space like giant metal beasts. They were huge, dark, and covered with weapons that could destroy entire worlds. These ships belonged to the Kthvar, and every living thing in the galaxy feared them. Captain Zalthor stood on the bridge of his flagship, called the Devourer. He was 9 feet tall with sharp claws and red eyes that glowed in the dark. His thick armor was black as night, and scars covered his face from 1,000 battles. He looked at the screen, showing their next target. There. He pointed with one massive claw. That small blue planet. The creatures there call it Earth. The other Kthvar warriors gathered around him. They were all tall and strong, built for hunting and killing. Their race had been the most feared in the galaxy for over 300 years. They traveled from world to world, taking what they wanted and destroying the rest. "What do we know about these humans?" asked his second-in-command, a female warrior named Kthvar. "They are weak," Zalthor replied with a deep laugh. "Small, soft creatures with no claws or natural weapons. They barely know how to travel between stars. This will be easy hunting." The Kthvar had a simple way of life. The strong ruled over the weak. They had never met anyone stronger than themselves. Every species they encountered became their prey. Some they ate. Others they kept as slaves. The rest they killed for sport. Zalthor remembered their last hunt on the crystal world of Veltar. The crystal people could control energy with their minds, but they were peaceful. It took only hours to destroy their cities and capture the survivors. Before that, they had wiped out the bug-like Zephyrin who lived in giant hives. Even with billions of them working together, they could not stop the Kthvar war machine. "Prepare the hunting pods," Zalthor ordered. "We will drop to the surface and show these humans what real predators look like." His crew moved quickly to get ready. Each warrior checked their plasma weapons and energy shields. They had done this many times before. Land on a world, kill anyone who fought back, and take the rest as prizes. It was always the same. "Sir," called the ship's scanner operator, "I am picking up some strange readings from the planet." "What kind of readings?" Zalthor asked. "Metal structures in space around their world, and some kind of energy signatures on their moons. But they look old and broken." Zalthor waved a clawed hand. "Space junk. These primitives probably tried to build something and failed. Pay it no attention." Far below on Earth, Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison watched his computer screen with growing worry. He worked at a secret military base hidden deep underground. For weeks, his team had been tracking the alien ships as they moved toward Earth. "How many ships are there?" he asked Sergeant Lisa Chang, who sat at the computer next to him. "At least 50 large ones, sir. Maybe more hiding behind the big ones. And Jake, these are not friendly visitors. Look at this." She pointed to her screen showing the alien ships. "See all those weapon ports? These things are built for war, not exploration. They have enough firepower to crack our planet in half." Jake felt cold sweat on his forehead. Earth had been preparing for this day for 50 years, ever since they first detected signs of alien life. But seeing it happen for real was different. These aliens were not coming to say hello. "Have they tried to talk to us?" Jake asked. "We have been sending messages for days, nothing, not even a response. They just keep coming." Jake picked up his secure phone and called his commander. "General, this is Morrison. The aliens will be here in less than 12 hours. And sir, I do not think they are coming to make friends." The general's voice was calm but serious. "Understood, Jake. Put all defense systems on high alert. If these things want to fight, we will give them one they will never forget." Around the world, military bases received the same message. In deep bunkers and hidden facilities, soldiers and scientists worked together to prepare Earth's defenses. Most people on the planet had no idea what was coming. The governments had decided to keep it secret to avoid panic. But the military knew. They had been planning for this day since humans first looked up at the stars and wondered if they were alone. Now they had their answer, and it was not what they had hoped for. Danny Rodriguez checked his rifle for the 10th time. He was a Marine sergeant stationed outside Denver, Colorado. His unit had been told that hostile aliens were about to land, and they needed to hold them off as long as possible. "Sarge, you really think our guns will work against aliens?" asked Private Mike Santos. "These are not regular guns, Mike," Danny replied, patting his strange-looking weapon. The science guys have been working on these for years. Railguns, they call them. Shoot metal bullets faster than anything we have ever had before. But what if it is not enough? Danny looked up at the sky where the first alien ships were starting to appear as tiny dots of light. Then we make them pay for every inch of ground. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years, Mike. These aliens might be big and tough, but they have never fought anyone like us. The Kthvar hunting fleet moved into position around Earth. Captain Zalthor smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. Soon, the hunt would begin. Soon, they would add another species to their long list of victories. But something was different this time. The small blue world below was not sending out signals of fear or surrender like other worlds had done. Instead, it was quiet. Too quiet. "Sir," reported the scanner operator, "I am detecting movement on the planet's surface. Large numbers of the creatures are moving into positions around their cities." "Positions?" Zalthor asked. "It looks like defensive positions, sir, as if they are preparing to fight us." Zalthor laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Let them try. No species has ever successfully fought the Kthvar. These humans will learn why we are the apex predators of the galaxy." He did not know that humans had been apex predators on their own world long before they reached the stars. He did not know that Earth was a planet where only the strongest survived, where creatures had been fighting each other for millions of years to stay alive. He was about to learn that while the Kthvar had been hunting helpless prey, humans had been fighting each other and getting better at it every single year. They had turned war into an art, and they were about to show the galaxy's most feared hunters what real warfare looked like. The first Kthvar hunting pods started falling toward Earth like burning stars. Below, millions of humans waited with weapons in their hands and determination in their hearts. The hunt was about to begin, but for the first time in 3 centuries, the Kthvar were not sure who was the hunter and who was the prey. The Kthvar hunting pods screamed through Earth's sky like falling meteors. Their metal hulls glowed white-hot as they cut through the atmosphere at incredible speed. Inside each pod, alien warriors prepared their weapons and checked their armor, one final time. Captain Zalthor watched from his ship as dozens of pods dropped toward the planet below. This was how every hunt began. Fast, brutal, and overwhelming. The small creatures on the surface would see the pods coming and run in terror. Then his warriors would emerge and begin the harvest. The first pod crashed into the ground outside Denver, Colorado. The impact shook the earth for miles around and left a smoking crater 50 feet wide. Steam rose from the metal as the pods' doors opened with a loud hiss. 3 Kthvar warriors stepped out, each one 9 feet tall and covered in black armor. Their red eyes scanned the area, looking for signs of the local creatures. They had plasma rifles that could melt through solid rock, and personal shields that could stop most weapons. The hunt leader, a scarred veteran named Gorthak, raised his rifle and activated his helmet scanner. "Spread out," he commanded the others. "Find the humans and begin the culling. This should be over quickly." But Danny Rodriguez and his Marines had been waiting in hidden positions around the crash site. They had dug deep trenches and covered them with branches and dirt. Their new railgun rifles were loaded and ready. Danny spoke quietly into his radio. "All units, hold your fire until I give the signal. Remember what the science guys told us. Aim for the joints in their armor. Those are the weak spots." The Kthvar warriors moved forward with confidence. They had done this thousands of times before. No primitive species had ever been able to hurt them. Their armor and shields made them nearly invincible against basic weapons. Gorthak stopped and sniffed the air. Something felt wrong. The area was too quiet. Usually by now the local creatures would be running and screaming. Instead he heard nothing but wind through the trees. "Something is not right," he told his companions. "Stay alert." That was when Danny gave the signal. "Now, hit them with everything." The forest around the aliens exploded with gunfire. But these were not normal Earth weapons. The railguns fired metal slugs at enormous speed, faster than bullets had ever traveled before. The depleted uranium rounds were designed to punch through the strongest armor. The first Kthvar warrior stumbled backward as a railgun slug smashed into his shoulder joint. The armor cracked and alien blood sprayed out. He looked down in shock. Nothing should have been able to hurt him through his protective gear. Impossible, Gorthak roared. These primitives do not have the technology to pierce our armor. But the Marines kept firing. Mike Santos launched a rocket-propelled grenade from his hidden position. The explosion knocked one of the aliens to the ground, his shield flickering and sparking. Danny Rodriguez appeared from another direction, firing short bursts that found gaps in the alien armor. The Kthvar had expected scared civilians with primitive weapons. Instead, they found trained soldiers who had been preparing for this fight for months. Every Marine knew exactly where to aim and how to move. They used the terrain to their advantage, attacking from multiple directions at once. Gorthak activated his comm system to call for help, but Mike Santos was already moving to his next position. The human soldier had studied the alien equipment and knew their communication devices would be on their helmets. He fired a precise shot that shattered Gorthak's comm unit. Similar battles were happening all over the world. In Moscow, Russian special forces used explosives to bring down entire buildings on top of alien hunting parties. The Kthvar were used to fighting in open spaces, not in collapsed structures with tons of concrete falling on them. In Tokyo, Japanese soldiers led the aliens into subway tunnels and then sealed the exits. The confined spaces made the alien size and strength less useful, while the humans moved through the tunnels like they had lived there all their lives. Captain Susan Wright led a team of British special forces through the streets of London. They used hit-and-run tactics, striking fast and then disappearing before the aliens could respond. The Kthvar had never faced enemies who refused to stand and fight in the open. These creatures fight like cowards, complained one alien warrior over the radio. They will not face us in honorable combat. Honorable combat is for people who fight for honor, Susan replied into her captured alien radio. We fight to win. Back in space, Captain Zalthor watched his tactical displays with growing anger. Red indicators showed hunting parties in trouble. All over the planet, warriors who had never known defeat were calling for help or going silent entirely. How is this possible? He demanded. These humans are barely out of their Stone Age. His second-in-command, Kthvar, studied the battle reports. Sir, they are not fighting like any species we have encountered before. They use terrain, coordinated attacks, and weapons we did not detect in our scans. On the ground in Denver, Danny, Rodriguez's Marines had turned the tide completely. 2 of the 3 alien warriors were down, their armor cracked and leaking. Gorthak was still standing but wounded and surrounded. You cannot defeat the Kthvar, Gorthak snarled at Danny. We are the apex predators of the galaxy. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Danny checked his rifle and smiled grimly. Maybe you were apex predators out there. But this is Earth, and on Earth humans are the apex predators. We have been fighting wars since before we had written language. You just picked a fight with the wrong species. The alien warrior charged forward, hoping to use his size and strength to overpower the smaller human. But Danny was ready. He rolled to the side and fired 3 quick shots into the alien's knee joint. Gorthak crashed to the ground, his leg, unable to support his weight. All around the world the same scene was playing out. The Kthvar hunters were learning that humans did not fight like other species. They did not panic or run. Instead, they adapted quickly, used teamwork, and turned everything around them into weapons. Captain Zalthor realized that his hunting parties were not just failing, they were being systematically destroyed by creatures he had considered easy prey. For the first time in 3 centuries, the Kthvar were facing defeat. Recall all hunting pods, he ordered. We will destroy this planet from orbit. If we cannot hunt them, we will burn them. But as the Devourer began charging its planet-killing weapons, alarms started screaming throughout the ship. Unknown contacts were appearing on sensors all around the Kthvar fleet. The humans had more surprises waiting, and the real battle was just beginning. Colonel Patricia Hayes sat deep underground in a military bunker buried beneath a mountain in Colorado. She had been waiting for this moment her entire life. Around her, dozens of computer screens showed the alien fleet in space above Earth. The enemy ships were preparing to destroy the planet from orbit. All stations, this is command, Patricia spoke into her headset. Execute Operation Steel Rain. Show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity's home. Across the solar system, things that looked like dead rocks and broken satellites suddenly came to life. What the Kthvar had thought were pieces of space junk began moving and powering up weapon systems. Earth's greatest secret was not any single weapon. It was how much they had prepared for this day. For 50 years, humans had been hiding weapons throughout their solar system. They had disguised military platforms as asteroids, old satellites, and space debris. The aliens had scanned the system and seen exactly what humans wanted them to see. Captain Zalthor watched in shock as his sensors detected dozens of new contacts appearing around his fleet. Weapons platforms that had been invisible moments before were now targeting his ships with massive railguns and nuclear missiles. Where did they come from? He demanded of his crew. How did we miss so many weapons? Sir, they were not active before, replied his scanner operator. They were powered down and looked like natural objects. We scanned them as debris and ignored them. The first attack came from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. What the Kthvar had thought was a normal space rock suddenly fired a projectile moving at 1/10 the speed of light. The metal slug smashed into a Kthvar escort ship and punched completely through its armor. More attacks followed from every direction. Hidden bases on the moons of Mars launched swarms of nuclear torpedoes. Disguised satellites in Earth orbit fired focused energy beams. Even some of the smaller asteroids turned out to be mobile weapons platforms that moved to attack the alien fleet. This entire system is a trap, Zalthor realized with growing fear. They have turned their whole solar system into a fortress. Captain Steve Chen flew his fighter ship directly at the alien flagship. His small craft was fast and hard to hit, designed for exactly this kind of battle. Behind him, 50 more human fighters followed in tight formation. All fighters, this is Dragon Leader, Steve spoke over his radio. Remember what we learned in training. These big ships are strong but slow. Hit them fast and get out before they can target you. The human fighters swarmed around the massive Kthvar ships like angry insects. They were too small for the alien weapons to target effectively, but their missiles and railguns could damage important systems on the enemy vessels. Steve lined up his shot on the alien flagship's weapon array. This is for every planet you destroyed, he said as he fired all his missiles at once. The explosions tore holes in the ship's armor and knocked out several weapon systems. The Kthvar tried to adapt to the human tactics, but they had never faced anything like this before. Their ships were built for attacking defenseless planets, not fighting mobile enemies that attacked from all directions at once. Admiral Robert Clark commanded the entire human space fleet from his flagship, the Liberty. He was a calm man with gray hair and steady eyes, but he had studied every war in human history. He knew how to turn the enemy's strengths against them. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta, Clark ordered. Use our speed advantage. Do not try to match their firepower. Hit them where they are weak and keep moving. The human strategy was simple but effective. Their ships were smaller and faster than the alien vessels. They used their knowledge of local space to coordinate attacks that the Kthvar could not counter. When alien ships tried to target them, the human vessels were already moving to new positions. Captain Tony Martinez commanded a group of heavy cruisers that attacked the alien fleet's left flank. His ships carried the most powerful weapons Earth had built, but they were still outgunned by the Kthvar. So instead of fighting fair, he used tactics humans had perfected over centuries of warfare. Fire on my mark, Tony told his fleet. All ships target the same enemy vessel. Concentrate all our firepower on one ship at a time. 6 human cruisers fired together at a single Kthvar destroyer. The combined attack overwhelmed the alien ship's shields and tore it apart. Before the other alien ships could respond, Tony's fleet had moved to attack their next target. The tide of battle was turning, but the real surprise came when the humans did something no other species had ever done to the Kthvar. They stopped just defending and went on the attack. Launch all boarding pods, Admiral Clark ordered. Take the fight to their ships. Let them see what human soldiers can do in close combat. Hundreds of small pods launched from human ships and raced toward the alien fleet. Each pod carried a squad of Marines armed with the best weapons Earth could provide. The Kthvar had never faced boarding attacks before. Their ships were not designed for fighting inside the corridors and rooms. Sergeant Kyle Murphy led his squad through a hole they had cut in a Kthvar cruiser's hull. The alien ship was huge inside, with wide corridors designed for creatures 9 feet tall. But that size worked against them when human soldiers attacked from multiple directions. Contact. Front, Kyle reported as his squad met a group of alien warriors. The Kthvar were bigger and stronger, but humans had spent centuries perfecting close-quarters combat. They used flashbang grenades to blind and confuse the aliens, then attacked with weapons designed for fighting in tight spaces. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere at once. Human soldiers moved through the ship's air vents, cut new passages through walls, and attacked from angles the Kthvar never expected. What scared the aliens most was how quickly humans learned. Within hours of the first boarding actions, human engineers were studying captured alien technology and figuring out how to use it. They took Kthvar weapons and modified them to work with human equipment. Lieutenant Sarah Davis led a technical team that captured an alien engineering section. "Look at this," she told her team as they examined the alien equipment. "Their technology is advanced, but they never change it. They have been using the same designs for hundreds of years." "Why would they not improve it?" asked one of her technicians. "Because they never had to," Sarah replied. "They never faced anyone who could fight back. They got comfortable being the strongest, so they stopped getting stronger." Back on the alien, flagship Captain Zalthor faced a reality no Kthvar had ever experienced before. His fleet was being defeated by creatures he had thought were primitive prey. Worse, the humans seemed to be enjoying the fight. "Sir, we are receiving another transmission from the human commander," reported his communications officer. "Put it through," Zalthor said. Admiral Clark appeared on the main screen, standing calmly on his ship's bridge despite the battle raging around him. "Captain Zalthor, this is your last chance to surrender. You came here to hunt us, but you are learning that humans do not make good prey." Zalthor's hands shook with rage and fear. "How did you know my name?" Clark smiled. "We have been listening to your communications and learning your language since you entered our solar system. We know everything about your fleet, your tactics, and your weaknesses. The hunt is over, Captain. You lost." The battle was over in less than 6 hours. Half of the Kthvar fleet was destroyed or captured, and the rest had surrendered. Captain Zalthor sat in chains aboard his own flagship, now controlled by human marines. He could not believe what had happened. For 300 years, the Kthvar had been the most feared species in the galaxy. They had destroyed countless civilizations and never lost a single battle. Now they had been completely defeated by creatures they thought were weak and primitive. Admiral Clark walked into the room where Zalthor was being held. The human leader was shorter than the alien captain, but Zalthor could see the intelligence and determination in his eyes. This was not a creature to be underestimated. "I have questions for you," Clark said, sitting down across from the alien prisoner. "And you are going to answer them." "I will tell you nothing, human," Zalthor replied with as much dignity as he could manage. Clark smiled coldly. "You already have. We recorded every transmission your fleet made during the battle. We know about your hunting grounds, your home world, and your other fleets. But I want to know about the species you have destroyed. Why do you care about them? They were weak. The strong rule the weak. That is the way of the universe." "No," Clark said firmly. "That was your way. But your way ends today. We are going to every world you have attacked. We are going to find any survivors and help them rebuild. And you are going to help us do it." Zalthor laughed bitterly. "Why would I help you?" "Because the alternative is much worse for your people," Clark replied. "We could do to the Kthvar what you did to other species, hunt you down and destroy your civilization, but we are offering you something different, a chance to earn a place in a galaxy based on cooperation instead of domination." Meanwhile, human ships were already spreading throughout the galaxy. The captured Kthvar vessels had detailed star charts showing the locations of every world they had attacked. Admiral Clark had ordered immediate rescue missions to all of them. Captain Linda Scott commanded the rescue ship Mercy as it approached the crystal world of Veltar. According to Kthvar records, they had attacked this planet 5 years ago and destroyed most of the population. But human sensors were detecting life signs in deep caves beneath the surface. "Take us down slowly," Linda ordered her pilot. These people have been hiding from alien hunters for years. They are going to be terrified when they see another spaceship. The crystal people of Veltar had once built beautiful cities that sparkled like diamonds in their sun's light. Now their world was mostly ruins and ash. But in the deep caves, some had survived by hiding and staying very quiet. When Linda and her team found the first group of survivors, they were shocked at what they saw. The crystal people were thin and weak from years of hiding underground. Their natural light had dimmed from fear and sadness. "We are humans from Earth," Linda said gently, using a translation device her team had built from captured Kthvar equipment. "We defeated the hunters. They will never hurt you again." The crystal people could hardly believe it. For 5 years, they had lived in constant fear that the Kthvar would return to finish what they started. Now strangers from a distant world were telling them they were safe. "How?" asked their leader, an old crystal being whose light flickered weakly. "The hunters were too strong. No one could defeat them." "We could," Linda replied. "And we did. Now we want to help you rebuild your world and your people." Similar scenes were happening on dozens of worlds throughout the galaxy. The bug-like Zephyrin had scattered into small groups and hidden in underground tunnels when the Kthvar attacked their hive worlds. Human search teams found millions of them still alive, working together to survive in the dark. Commander David Park led the rescue mission to the main Zephyrin world. The insect people communicated by sharing thoughts, and when they realized the humans were there to help, their joy spread through the entire hive network like electricity. "You defeated the hunters?" the Zephyrin spokesperson asked through clicking sounds that David's translator turned into words. "Yes," David replied, "and we want to make sure they never hurt anyone again. Will you help us build something better than what came before?" The Zephyrins' answer came not in words, but in actions. Within days, they were working with human engineers to rebuild their cities and sharing their advanced biotechnology with their rescuers. Back on Earth, scientists were studying captured Kthvar technology and finding ways to improve it. The aliens had powerful weapons and ships, but their designs had not changed in centuries. They had grown comfortable being the strongest and stopped trying to get better. Dr. Jennifer Walsh led the team studying alien plasma weapons. "Look at this," she told her colleagues. "Their energy systems are incredibly advanced, but they waste so much power. If we combine their technology with our efficiency improvements, we can build weapons twice as powerful using half the energy." The reverse engineering project was moving faster than anyone had expected. Humans had always been good at taking other people's ideas and making them better. Now they were applying that skill to alien technology. Within months, human ships were being equipped with improved versions of Kthvar weapons and shields. But more importantly, humans were sharing this technology with all the species they rescued. The galaxy was becoming a very different place. Captain Zalthor watched through the window of his cell as human and alien engineers worked together on his captured flagship. They were not just studying Kthvar technology, they were improving it and teaching others how to use it. "I do not understand you humans," he said to his guard, a Marine named Frank Williams. "You could have destroyed us completely. Instead, you offer us partnership. Why?" Frank thought about the question for a moment. "Because that is who we are. On Earth, we learned that working together makes everyone stronger. Fighting and killing just wastes everyone's time and energy. But we are your enemies. We came to hunt you. You were our enemies," Frank corrected. "Now you have a choice. You can keep being enemies and spend the rest of your lives in prison, or you can help us build something better and earn your freedom." Zalthor was quiet for a long time. Everything he had believed about strength and weakness was being challenged. The humans had proven they were stronger than the Kthvar, but instead of enslaving them, they offered partnership. For the first time in his life, the former Kthvar captain began to wonder if there might be a better way to live than as a predator. The humans were showing him something he had never seen before: strength used to protect instead of destroy. The galaxy was changing, and even its former apex predators were learning that cooperation might be more powerful than conquest. 2 years had passed since the battle at Earth. The galaxy was a completely different place now. Where once there had been fear and hiding, there was now cooperation and hope. The Terran Coalition, as it came to be called, included over 50 different species working together. Admiral Clark stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the Unity. Through the large windows, he could see ships from a dozen different worlds flying in formation together. Crystal ships from Veltar sparkled like jewels in the starlight. Zephyrin bioships looked like giant insects but moved with grace and purpose. Even some Kthvar vessels flew with them, now painted in the blue and white colors of the Coalition. "Admiral, we are receiving a distress call," reported his communications officer, Lieutenant Amy Foster. "It is coming from the edge of our territory." "Put it through," Clark ordered. The voice that came through the speakers was filled with panic and fear. "This is Captain Velnock of the trading vessel Starwalker. We are under attack by unknown vessels. They are demanding we surrender our cargo. And passengers, please, anyone who can hear this, we need help." Clark looked at his tactical officer. "How far away are they?" 6 hours at maximum speed, sir." "But Admiral, our nearest patrol ships are 8 hours away." "Then we go ourselves," Clark decided. "All ships, prepare for immediate jump to hyperspace. We have people in trouble." The Coalition fleet moved as one unit through hyperspace. This was something that would have been impossible during the time of the Kthvar hunters. Back then, every species was alone and afraid. Now they worked together, and that made them all stronger. When they arrived at the battle site, they found 3 large warships attacking a small merchant vessel. The attacking ships were bigger than anything in the Coalition fleet, with weapons that glowed with dangerous energy. "Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Clark of the Terran Coalition." He broadcast on all frequencies. "You will stop your attack immediately and withdraw from the system." The reply came back filled with arrogance and anger. "I am War Leader Krexnos of the Destroyer Fleet. We do not recognize your pathetic coalition. This system belongs to us. Now, leave or be destroyed." Clark smiled grimly. "I was hoping you would say that. All ships, battle stations, the enemy vessels were from a species called the Vortak, massive creatures even bigger than the Kthvar had been. They had been expanding into this part of the galaxy while the Kthvar were busy hunting weaker species. Now they thought they could take over where the hunters had left off, but they had made the same mistake the Kthvar had made. They thought size and strength were all that mattered in a fight. The battle was over in 30 minutes. The Coalition ships used the same tactics that had defeated the Kthvar: speed, coordination, and superior technology. But this time they had help from species who had learned to fight together. Captain Zalthor, now serving as a tactical advisor on the Unity, watched the battle with amazement. "Your forces fight like a single organism," he told Admiral Clark. "Each ship knows exactly what the others will do." "That is what happens when people trust each other," Clark replied. "Something your species never learned." After the battle, the Coalition fleet rescued the merchant ship and its passengers. Among the survivors was a group of refugees from a world the Vortak had recently attacked. They were small, furry creatures who trembled with fear when they saw the Coalition. Ships Dr. Sarah Martinez, now serving as the Coalition's chief diplomat, worked to calm the frightened aliens. "We are here to help," she said through her translator. "The attackers cannot hurt you anymore." "But there will be more," said one of the refugees, a small being with large, sad eyes. "The destroyers have many ships. They will come back for revenge." "Let them come," Clark said firmly. "We will be ready." And they were ready. Over the next year, the Coalition fought a dozen battles with the Vortak destroyers. Each time, the aliens found themselves facing an enemy that was better prepared and more unified than they expected. The turning point came when the Coalition did something the Vortak had not expected. Instead of just defending, they went on the attack. A massive fleet, including ships from 20 different species, jumped into the Vortak home system, but when they arrived, they did not start shooting immediately. Instead, Admiral Clark sent a message to the planet below. "People of Vortak Prime, this is the Terran Coalition. We know your leaders have been attacking innocent traders and refugees. We are here to offer you the same choice we offered the Kthvar. Join us in building a peaceful galaxy, or face the consequences of continued aggression. The response surprised everyone. Instead of defiance, they received a message from a group of Vortok civilians who had been secretly working against their own military leaders. "Please help us," the message said. "Our war leaders have made us hated throughout the galaxy. Many of us want peace, but we are afraid to oppose them. If you can remove the war leaders from power, we will join your coalition gladly." The revolution that followed was swift and mostly bloodless. The Vortok people, tired of constant warfare, rose up against their military leaders with coalition support. Within weeks, the destroyer fleet was disbanded, and Vortok Prime became the newest member of the Terran Coalition. Captain Zalthor, who had been given command of a coalition patrol ship as a reward for his help in the war, visited Admiral Clark in his office after the victory celebration. "I have been thinking about something you said during the battle with the Vortok," Zalthor said. "You said that my species never learned to trust each other. You were right. We were so focused on being the strongest that we never learned to be strong together." Clark nodded. "That was your weakness. You thought strength came from dominating others, but real strength comes from lifting others up. Is that why you humans are so successful, because you help each other?" "That is part of it," Clark replied. "But the real secret is that we never stop learning and growing. When we met you, we learned from your technology and tactics. When we met the Crystal people, we learned from their energy manipulation. Every species we encounter makes us all stronger." Zalthor looked out the window at the diverse fleet of coalition ships. "On my world, we have a saying, 'The strong devour the weak.' But I think humans have a better saying." "What is that?" Clark asked. "The strong protect everyone else." Clark smiled. "Actually, our saying is, 'Together we are stronger.' But I like yours better." 5 years after the first Kthvar attack on Earth, the galaxy was peaceful and prosperous. The Terran Coalition had grown to include over 100 different species, all working together to explore new worlds and protect each other from threats. The age of hunters and destroyers was over. The age of cooperation and mutual protection had begun. And at the center of it all were the humans from a small blue planet, who had taught the galaxy that the strongest predators were not those who hunted alone, but those who protected the pack. The galaxy was no longer a place where the strong devoured the weak. It had become something better, a place where everyone could find their place and contribute to something greater than themselves. And that was the greatest victory of all.